Hello there, welcome to the Park Rush podcast. This is a theme park podcast. I'm Tom. Joining me as ever is Josh.
Hello there, Tom.
Hello there, Josh. How's it going?
I'm pretty good.
Incredible.
It's been
incredible.
a while.
It has been a while. Over a year, I think,
Whoa.
since the Park Rush podcast graced people's ears.
You lucky people that were back, really.
Yeah, what have you been getting up to since then, Josh?
Uh,
Been stuck in a long, long line for the Peter Pan ride at Magic Kingdom?
Them switchbacks, man.
Yeah.
They're deceptive. You think
Yeah.
you're going to be 10 minutes and you're there for a year.
Yeah, it's brutal. But we did say, I mean, obviously we've been gone for a long time for various reasons that we don't need to get into, but we did say to ourselves, look, if there's news that really demands a comeback that we simply could not ignore, then we would. And at this point, I think we have irrefutably received word that is worthy of coverage.
Yeah, I would say so.
And deep breath, everyone. The Land of Oz has opened at Gulliver's World in Warrington. I can't quite believe that this day is finally here.
Oh.
Yeah. That was a wicked, cruel joke. Speaking of wicked, I mean, could that be part, Josh, of the real reason that we are here? And that is that in the last few weeks, Universal Studios UK has been officially announced.
Yes!
Incredible. I think one of the last proper podcasts we did before we went away was talking about the big leak, I guess, at that point, of Universal considering a theme park in the UK.
Yeah.
And, well, I mean, 16 months later or so?
Yeah. It was just a field with nothing had been done at all at that point.
No.
And now all of a sudden, they've done groundwork, started doing sight lines and all that stuff. And official announcement.
Yes. Yeah. How could we not? How could we not talk about this most monumental of announcements? Just the basic details. So they've bought a massive site near Bedford.
Yep.
It's the site of a former brickworks. 476 acres, so plenty of space. And they bought the land some years ago. As we say, it sort of leaked out towards the end of 2023. We then had sort of a kind of drip feed of mentions for this project in the House of Commons. MPs talking about it. The local MPs would often bring it up and ask the relevant ministers for kind of a status update.
Yeah.
We obviously had a change of government in the meantime.
Yeah.
And some changes that have been made in terms of how the tax system works in the UK that some people were worried might put off investment, put off businesses wanting to do big things here in the UK. But we have now reached the point where it is official and Universal are going to get cracking on this. They announced it a few weeks ago with the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who described, this is according to the BBC News, described the multi-billion-pound investment by the company as something that would see Bedford home to one of the biggest entertainment parks in Europe, firmly putting the country on the global stage. Wow. So since then, rumours have been running wild. People have been analysing in great detail the concept art, which if you're watching the video version of this podcast, we'll throw up, of course, and we're going to go through it now and basically talk about what the reports would suggest are likely to be each of these lands, and also maybe spitball a bit about what we hope could be there. So I guess we'll start at the front, Josh, where you can very clearly see there the globe.
Yes.
The Universal Globe in a sort of welcome plaza. Are you thinking that this place has some kind of city walk experience? Do you think they'll try to make it British, they'll try and recreate a British high street, and instead of a Toothsome's Chocolate Emporium and a Bubba Gump Shrimp and a Universal store, there'll actually just be a British Heart Foundation shop and a betting shop?
You can pick up your furniture and put some dodgy bets on some terrible horses.
Yeah, TK Maxx.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or TJ Maxx for the Americans.
Yes, of course. Yes, my apologies.
Yeah, they'd be confused, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be a city walk.
No?
I think it'll be a smaller affair. Maybe I don't know how much land this park by itself is going to take up of the whole.
It's about 470. Oh, I see what you mean. So do you think the 476 acres is? It's not just the park. It's also going to be car park, staff, areas, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So maybe there's a chance that we get kind of a small city walk and then potentially a bigger one in the future. depending on how this works out. And then I think they're gonna go more of like a Main Street kind of vibe a little bit.
You think?
Yes.
Or maybe a sort of. Well, I mean, do you think there will be an area with things to do that doesn't require you to have a ticket for the park? Do you think we'll have a little, maybe if not on the scale of a city walk, something more like a Disney Village in Paris, where you've not got quite as much going on?
I think it's probably going to be more that vibe.
Yeah,
maybe smaller, maybe even smaller than that.
Because looking at the concept art, I mean, we can see the kind of archway there just beyond the globe, which looks very much like the Universal Archway that you have in Florida and at some of the other parks as well. But you do have some buildings kind of off to the sides there of the globes. I mean, what do you reckon? I mean, do you think they're of anything that will be relevant to guests potentially? I mean, they're talking about building a hotel as well. Could that be what we're seeing there on the right of the globe as you approach it?
It looks quite small for a hotel.
Look a bit too small.
Yeah. Which is why I think maybe the hotel isn't quite here. Maybe the hotel's slightly further afield, a bit more like how they are at Universal Studios in Florida, where it's a little bit of a walk from not a big walk, obviously. It's like 5 minutes to the entrance of the park. So maybe that's slightly off down the road to get you that separation.
It's a 500-room hotel.
That's big. I don't think there's a 500-room hotel in this artwork.
No.
So I think that's separate.
Fair enough. Yeah. That's probably a Spoons there, Josh.
Oh, imagine if they got a Spoons in
a theme park Spoons.
Theme park Spoons, the first ever.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see whether they have a kind of grand entrance with much going on before you actually get into the park. Because then, yes, once you're through that archway, as you can see on the concept art there, one would imagine that will be probably a sort of Hollywood themed area. The kind of main entrance way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'd expect that to be the case because that tends to be the fallback for them in terms of setting the scene, setting the stage when you first get in, and basically all of their parks, right? I mean, fundamentally, as much as the Universal parks have changed and resembled as a whole less and less of just a backstage movie lot, that opening part of the park still tends to have that.
Yeah, that's true. Like, obviously, Islands of Adventure is different because they already had the kind of Hollywood thing there.
Yeah.
And Epic Universe is different again because they've gone for a very different concept of how to build a theme park.
Yeah.
But this is very reminiscent of kind of more of the Singapore, Shanghai kind of vibe.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah, indeed. So let's get into the meat of this then. Let's work our way around. Should we go clockwise? We'll go left here.
Yeah.
So we first come.
So we've got Hulk. We've got Amazing Spider-Man.
Yes. Yes.
Doctor Doom 3-4.
Some have described that as the best start to a theme park day. I think it might have been me. If it wasn't, I agree with whoever did say that.
I concur.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, we'll start here then on the left. Now, I mean, there may well be stuff that is kind of hidden from view on the concept art, and I guess we have to caveat all this with it is concept art.
Yeah,
theme park concept art notorious for changing, sometimes quite dramatically, and this park is still 6 years away.
Yes.
They're thinking 2031 is when this will be open. So I can't quite see if there's anything kind of between that building that you speculated could be the hotel and the body of water in the middle there. I mean, there may well be something, but the first bit that we really have a clear view of is something that a lot of people are thinking could be Paddington.
It does kind of give that vibe.
Little kiddie area there.
Yeah, it looks like a sort of maybe a teacups kind of vibe going on, and maybe like one of those kind of like Dumbo-esque rides.
Yeah.
And then something else which I can't quite tell what that is.
Yeah, because I mean, subsequent to the announcement, the BBC did a report. They've heard from their sources, and the big three that they sort of headlined on were James Bond, Paddington, and Lord of the Rings. We'll get to Bond and Lord of the Rings as we work our way around the map. But people who have read that BBC article and then tried to apply that to the concept art, this first bit here is what most people seem to think is Paddington.
I think that makes sense.
So I guess then, is it going to be a land that is themed to maybe Peru or London or a bit of a hodgepodge? Do you have a dark ride, a Paddington dark ride? Got to have a meet and greet.
I feel like actually it would be quite good if the outside stuff was kind of London-ish or English, full of Englishness.
Yes.
And then maybe you have an indoor ride that has you going to Peru.
A dark ride into darkest Peru.
Exactly.
Yes. I can't wait to buy. I can't wait to see how much they charge for a marmalade sandwich. Like, but no, I think like a Paddington dark ride makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's that building in the back there that you could potentially see housing a Paddington dark ride.
Yeah.
And then a few, as you sort of speculated, a Dumbo-esque ride, a Teacups-esque ride maybe. Yeah, it'd be good. And as we'll get to, I mean, Bond and Lord of the Rings being the other two that the BBC kind of headlined on, those two plus Paddington gives this park a unique flavour.
Yes.
You know, stuff that will make this park stand out. And of course, the thing with all theme parks of this scale, it's not just about serving the local community or, you know, even on a national level, but also tourists and people coming from abroad.
Yeah.
And certainly if you want to get people coming over from the States or elsewhere where they already have these kind of parks, you're going to want stuff that they can't get anywhere else. Paddington would be that. I
mean, actually, I was about to say it's 2 trains, but it's not. It's because Eurostar have really fumbled and cancelled the train that goes from London to Disneyland Paris. So it's now 3 trains from Disneyland Paris to Universal, or it would be 3 trains.
Right.
Because they cancelled the direct train from London to Disneyland Paris and back. So you'd have to get a train from Disneyland into Paris, then a Eurostar to London, and then a local train to...
Yeah. I don't think we'll get into this here because it's a lot, but I mean, part of, and I think this probably did play into the timing of the announcement, the confirmation announcement of the park. The government has, over the past few months, been announcing other infrastructure projects for this part of the country in terms of new railway stations and things like that. So clearly laying the groundwork for this park, which is obviously going to put a lot of, and something this country is really bad at doing, frankly,
infrastructure full stop.
Is infrastructure full stop. And often the concern, the reason a lot of the time, the reason things doesn't get built is because people say, oh, the local infrastructure isn't good enough to support this, whether it's housing or a theme park or whatever else it might be. So clearly they have got ahead of that to some extent with this.
Yeah.
And all that stuff you can read up on, and as ever, the local press is the best place to go for that.
For us,
yeah,
I think we'll be able to get a train direct. So me from Dartford and you from Woolwich.
What, all the way to Bedford?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the Dartford Thames link.
Oh yeah.
Goes through Bedford.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And it stops at Woolwich as well. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get back to the concept art then, and we'll move on to the next area where we've got this big roller coaster. Now, this is exciting. There's part of me that thinks this is the most exciting rumour because a lot of people think this is Back to the Future, and that this is a Hill Valley themed area with a launch coaster potentially to go with it. And obviously you would imagine if you're doing a Back to the Future launch coaster, then the bit is it's going to hit 88 miles per hour.
It's got to be, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, you're the biggest Back to the Future fan I know, Josh. Excited, one would imagine, about this.
Absolutely. A Back to the Future ride is... I've been longing for a Back to the Future ride since the Back to the Future ride shut at Universal Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
Rest in peace. I mean, to be fair, The Simpsons is very good.
Simpsons is good, yeah.
And it uses the same technology as that one, so it's fine. But I want a Back to the Future ride, damn it.
I mean, no pun intended, Back to the Future, timeless.
Absolutely.
But I mean, there is part of me that wonders, does Universal regret kind of saying goodbye to it in the way that they did? Because I could quite easily see Back to the Future coming back round and being part of some of the parks where it has been previously and it's been replaced by something else.
Yes.
Especially if they're going to lean on coasters, for example, as a way of representing Back to the Future. I mean, we're expecting, for example, in Florida, the Rip Ride Rocket to be replaced.
Yes. Isn't that potentially getting replaced by Fast and Furious or something?
I don't know. I think that was maybe one of the rumours, but obviously they've already got a Fast and the Furious thing there. So
shut that down.
You would have to shut that down as well.
Just do it anyway.
But I mean, Back to the Future is still just endlessly popular. They've still got it in the Florida park specifically in terms of meet and greets.
Yeah.
But that's really it.
Yeah.
but the music is playing constantly at the entrance. Like it's still such an evocative franchise when you go to that park. Like it's impossible not to think of it. And here in the UK, I mean, the West End show, for example,
So good.
very, very popular. We love
So
Back to
good.
the Future over here. So I think it would make sense to have Back to the Future represented. And I mean, Universal's coaster game in the last, let's say, decade has been really, really good. I mean, Velocicoaster obviously is phenomenal as their kind of and to Epic Universe, their newest one in Florida.
Yeah.
But
the new one that isn't part of any of the areas.
Stardust Races.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That looks so cool.
It does.
It's got a double launch to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. It does look good. So the prospect of a Back to the Future launch coaster is pretty exciting. I mean, it looks like from the concept art, the track, that it maybe starts or finishes indoors. So you're hoping that there might be some sort of story scenes there? Do you think we could get
I hope so.
animatronics, or would it be on video? I mean, it's hard to imagine them getting Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox.
AI can do a lot of stuff these days.
Oh no, I don't know.
I think
Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. is not like, so yeah.
Oh God,
finally bring that awful remake idea into.
My mum sends me that every 6 months.
Just get the guys from the West End show.
Yeah, that's true.
Could just do that.
Yeah, I think maybe you do something. You could have like a CGI Hill Valley, like the road that Marty lives down, maybe, and it could be at like kind of the ending of Back to the Future Part 1, beginning of Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah.
So maybe like you get in the car, it's like, you're gonna go back with me, buddy.
So moving on to the next one. I mean, this looks so blatantly Jurassic Park / world. I mean, I struggle to imagine what else this could be. I mean, that is a Discovery ass looking Discovery Center right there.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what else this could be.
No.
I
looks nice though. I mean, nice sort of waterfall with what looks like potentially like a walkway bridge going across it straight, and also a curved one down into the central lagoon. I mean, those roofs there, just like the first ones you come upon coming from Hill Valley,
like the red and the bronze ones.
Yeah, they scream Jurassic Park.
And it looks like there's got smaller gold ones at the further up.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's sort of like some sort of kids treetop walk kind of vibe, maybe.
Yeah. That would make sense. And then it's a big roller coaster by the looks of things, painted green in the concept art, and like Velocicoaster goes out into the lagoon or onto the lagoon.
And in the middle there, you've got that big building, which has got to be a show building, like a ride building, because it's so big.
Yeah.
So that would suggest an indoor, like a dark Jurassic Park ride.
Well, so the Jurassic World ride in Beijing, I believe, is a big old indoor dark ride with some of the most phenomenal animatronics that you've seen. So, and this is a point that others have made, is the Beijing park might be
the blueprint.
The blueprint. Because again, that's a seasonal climate it has to exist in, so they have to take into account rain, winds, maybe even snow.
Earth, wind, and fire.
Because one assumes that this is going to be an all-year park, right?
Yes.
Would you think so? Because I mean,
it's Universal. It's got to be.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Which would obviously be a real problem for the parks we've already got here, which are seasonal.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think if you're building a park of this scale, with this amount of money behind it, it's all year round for sure.
Yeah.
And that does mean you're going to have to have plenty of indoor attractions.
There's actually quite a lot of outdoor attractions, I think, for the UK.
Yeah.
For an all-year park.
It looks like a good mix. So what you think? So you're thinking about potentially then in terms of, it's 3 attractions in Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. You got your coaster.
Yeah.
You got your big indoor dark ride, and then you maybe got your little kids area that you mentioned.
Yeah, like a Camp Cretaceous kind of vibe, but obviously not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I would just hope that they recreate Thunder Falls Terrace with their excellent rice bowls.
Okay,
I'll be well into that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I mean, we obviously did, didn't we, the Jurassic World exhibition at the Excel a couple of years ago, which was pretty impressive, actually. I mean, some of those animatronics in there.
The T-Rex at the end was incredible.
The T-Rex was incredible. And actually, if you look up the ride footage from Beijing, they don't look dissimilar to that.
Oh, okay.
So, way advanced of what you've got in Florida at this point, for
Yeah.
example, in the I look like I was doing a salute there. I guess post this podcast on X, probably do quite well.
And
the River Adventure,
River Adventure,
those animatronics are really showing their age.
certainly the ones in the water there.
I mean, I guess as well, because this is 2031, some way off still, we're going to have at least one Jurassic World film before then, because we've got one coming up.
We'll have 6 probably at the rate they're coming out.
Don't make it sound like a threat, Josh. I mean, do you think they lean on those potentially on the dark ride? Because the Jurassic World ride you've got in Velocicoaster, for example.
Yeah,
you've got Chris Pratt in there, and
it's true.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, maybe. Why not? Why not lean on
Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah, sure. I don't know who else is in those films.
I guess it depends how they do, right? I mean, if I can't see it flopping, but were it to flop,
they're still making them.
Yeah. I guess we'll see kind of what people make of Jurassic World by then. Moving on, Josh, you got what could well be an outdoor stunt show in the back there.
Waterworld?
Waterworld.
It looks like Waterworld.
It does. It does look like Waterworld. Waterworld's very good.
I want to go to Singapore just for the weird experiences of Singapore Universal.
It's very, very good. But surely it's not Waterworld. Could this be Bond?
Could this be Bond?
Could this be Bond? So the BBC in their article, where they say with some confidence, hey, this is what's going to be in here. They directly, overtly compare the Bond attraction to Jason Bourne, the Bourne Stuntacular that we've got in Florida, which
is indoors.
So
it's a theatre.
So this is very late. This would be quite lazy potentially, but we brought this up as a potential idea way back.
Have Universal been listening to our podcast?
When they were replacing Terminator 2 in Florida, we speculated whether it could be James Bond that goes in there, because Universal distributed No Time to Die.
Of course, yeah.
So we thought, the relationship is maybe there.
Yeah.
Could they lean into that and bring Bond? And obviously they ended up doing Bourne.
Yeah.
But that style of stunt show, I think, would work brilliantly for James Bond. And that 100%. Bourne show is phenomenal. I mean, we've said it plenty on this podcast.
Still haven't seen
the
it,
past.
Unfortunately.
It's very, very good. So I would be all in for a Bond show that evokes that. But then of course you've got, if that is a stunt show in the back there,
it looks like it.
That's not what Bourne is.
That looks so much like Waterworld.
It does.
But maybe this is just fake concept art in some of these areas, and maybe that's actually a theatre.
It could be a big fake out. Yeah, I mean, because if Bond is in here, and if Bond is indeed in the style of Bourne, then any one of these kind of nondescript buildings, maybe towards the front of the park, or in between some of the lands where it's not quite clear, Bond could end up in any of those, right?
Yeah.
So it's difficult. I mean, I think the thing with an outdoor stunt show, it does feel a bit like you're asking for trouble. Like you ask yourself, does a roller coaster need to be outside? In some cases, yeah, it kind of does. Like you can't really get away from that, and you take the gamble that it might have to shut on days where the weather's not there. Does a stunt show need to be outside? No, I think especially in the modern era where you've proved you can do a really good one indoors.
Yeah, even if it needs to be open, not open air, but if it needs a big space, you can have a roof on it. Like where is now Fear Factor Live, or was Fear Factor Live?
Yeah,
that used to be a stunt show before that.
Yeah,
so maybe you could, or where Indiana Jones is kind of in a big semi-outdoor student theatre space, right? So it's still got a roof on it or whatever.
Yeah,
you don't need to have an open air theatre.
No, I mean that looks as you say, it looks like Waterworld, almost like comically so.
Yeah, like
it feels like a big fake out.
Even the artwork, like it looks like something splashing down in the middle.
Yeah,
like in the big part of the Waterworld show with the explosions in the background.
Yeah,
and the seating is in the shape of the Waterworld seating.
Yeah,
so I think that's a fake out. I don't think they bring a Waterworld here in the year of our Lord 2031.
You wouldn't have thought so. You wouldn't have thought so. And it's worth saying, just to add a bit more credence to the Bond suggestion, The culture secretary, Lisa Nandy, when she was talking about this on the day that it was officially announced, she did specifically say, hey, there are lots of great British franchises that we would hope to see taken advantage of here. And she specifically said Bond, Paddington, Harry Potter. Now, well, as I've said it again, seems like Harry Potter won't be part of this. And again, I think this is something that we talked about on our last episode where we talked about this.
Yeah.
The reason it seems to be, according to the BBC, is that you've got the Warner Brothers studio tour 45-minute drive away from here. And whether it is, an explicit contractual situation that doesn't allow this to happen, or whether Warner Brothers just aren't keen on it, or maybe Universal themselves just aren't.
Yeah, because maybe they
kind of want to. In Florida, you don't really think of the association, do you?
No.
Potter is at Universal, and that is it.
Yeah.
Whereas in the UK, Universal might see a value in disassociating themselves from Potter because it already exists in the form of a Warner Brothers thing.
I was actually thinking about this, because obviously Warner Brothers is a Warner Brothers thing over here already, so they might not bring it. It's a shame actually that BBC got into bed with Disney for Doctor Who.
Right.
Because I think actually that's a great, almost like-for-like replacement of Harry Potter in a theme park.
Doctor Who would make you would think, a very good theme park ride.
Yeah.
The nice thing about Doctor Who is that all the actors who've been in it over the years seem to come away from it with a pretty positive, apart from Christopher Eccleston perhaps.
Yes,
they always
he's come around on it.
Has he?
Yeah, and he does a lot of the
audiobooks, radio plays.
Radio plays, yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, they always seem quite keen to come back for the big specials and stuff. One would imagine if you were putting together like a Doctor Who dark ride, you could probably get everyone to come back and you kind of fly through the eras of Doctor Who.
And they've been pretty good.
In a motion simulator.
When they've done it, Doctor Who has been pretty good at bringing back or interlacing old footage of old Doctors. So maybe they could even do some of that stuff for the ride.
Yeah. I would love a Doctor Who ride. And Doctor Who back in the day, Josh, the London Resort, when it was going to be the Disneyland of the UK, Doctor Who was regularly brought up as a possible.
Honestly, I think
ride.
This is actually the biggest shame for me, is that Disney have that thing, because I don't think Disney bring it to a park.
No,
because it's not going to come to Paris because it doesn't really make sense. I don't think it makes sense in America.
No,
so I think we lose out on the Doctor Who ride here. I think that's absolutely nailed on. If there's a BBC
Shaun the Sheep,
Disney connection,
Wallace and Gromit.
Well, they're Amazon, right?
Are they?
Because didn't Aardman
Netflix?
Yes, sorry, yeah.
It went on Netflix.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Would they do a deal? I don't know.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
I think Wallace and Gromit would.
Tell you what, a Wallace and Gromit, like a Bowser's Fury. What's it called? No, the Donkey Kong ride.
Right.
But
on the train.
On the train,
where you have to jump the track.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be incredible. Could you? Yeah, and it looks like the track's being built in front of you. Yeah. Could they somehow do that? Oh, that would be incredible. That would be incredible. Cracking, in fact. I mean, there are on the concept art. You've got a car park in the back there, in the back left, up in the top corner.
Yeah, I think that might be a
probably
staff
for
car.
staff.
Yeah.
But just below that, in between that and the Back to the Future coaster, and then also kind of opposite to it on the other side. Potential expansion pads. Could you? It's not impossible. Just because Doctor Who's not there day one doesn't mean that it can't be there later down the line.
It's
and then,
true.
Of course, they can just go back in time and put it in there for 2031.
Because I think Disney are not happy with how Doctor Who's going.
Right.
With the Shooting Atlas series. So maybe they try and get out of it. Maybe Universal look to do a deal there.
Yeah. Moving on then. So this next land. So this doesn't really look like much at all. In fact, some out there. I saw Alicia Stella of Thing Park Stop, who should have said earlier. She is the person who originally found out about this project way back in late 2023, and essentially forced Universal to acknowledge it and say, yeah, we're looking into this.
She's very good at what she does.
Indeed. If only that was the case for us as well. She thinks that the concept art has been done to almost make it look like Shrek.
Well, I was going to say the colours look a bit far away.
Yeah,
Not far away.
and
Duloc.
yeah, and there are
I don't-
reasons to believe, you could talk yourself into thinking, yeah, Shrekland would make sense. Shrek has been very well represented at the Universal Parks
Yeah.
for years now in different ways, in different parts of the world. You always had Shrek 4D going back. You've now got that new little DreamWorks area in that same park in Florida, which has a decent Shrek part of that as well.
Yeah.
In Singapore, you've had the entire part of the park dedicated to Far Far Away. There's a new Shrek film coming out. There's a lot of nostalgia for the older Shrek films. I'm told he's a meme now, Josh, in many different ways, some of them quite troubling.
Yeah.
So you could talk yourself round to that way of thinking. But I almost think it seems too obvious. You've also already got, I mean, if we're right about Paddington, that's one pretty overtly kiddie area.
Yeah.
You've also got Minions, which is the next one along. I mean, we may as well just say that up front now that is nailed on, a recreation of the Beijing Minions area.
Right.
So to have Shrek as well, I think would be a bit much, really.
Yeah.
So could it be Lord of the Rings? So the BBC have said they have been told Lord of the Rings will be part of this park. They also make the point in their article, and this may not actually mean anything, but it's maybe just an interesting little detail here, is that the latest series of the Rings of Power, which, dreadful.
Yeah, I haven't even brought myself
were
to watch the first
filmed
series.
not far away in Hertfordshire.
Okay.
Whether that means anything at all, I don't know.
But that's an Amazon gig, right?
It's an Amazon gig. I mean, look, clearly, it doesn't need to be said, does it? That if they were to do, can you imagine if they did Lord of the Rings, but it was the Amazon show?
You get Lenny Henry, who is
almost rather they just don't bother.
The only redeeming factor would be you'd get Lenny Henry in a theme park,
He's like,
he's a British hero icon.
Yeah.
That's the only
So is
redeeming
Ian
feature.
McKellen, though, Josh.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. You want the film Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The only redeeming feature is having Lenny Henry.
We want Lord of the Rings. No, not like that.
No,
not like that.
But they've been trying to get the rights to that for ages now.
Yeah, I mean, it was rumored for Epic Universe.
Yeah. And I think they got the blessing of Peter Jackson, I want to say.
I can't remember.
So, but they were fighting with the Tolkien estate, as you always do. But I feel like if you get the blessing of Peter Jackson, then it's probably
I just think the Tolkien estate have massively undermined themselves at this point, because the Amazon show. It's
bad.
This is just an opinion. Maybe there are people out there who like it. They're just wrong, though. It's really awful. It's really awful, and I think it's actually quite disrespectful to the mythos of Lord of the Rings in a way that you would think the Tolkien estate would be really unhappy with. I'm sure they got.
It's probably too late now.
I'm sure they got lumped with lots of nice shiny silver. They're sitting on it like Smaug right now. Probably don't actually care how good the show is, but the show is really quite bad.
All the
doesn't
characters
hold a candle to the films.
Bad.
It somehow looks like the most expensive TV show I've ever watched and the cheapest. It's quite remarkable how they've managed to pull it off.
And certainly after like Game of Thrones has come out and set a precedent for how that sort of thing should look, to come out with what they've done is bizarre.
It looks like you're watching a video game.
Oh, that's not what I want.
Which is not what you want.
It's not what I want.
Anyway, this has become a critique of the Rings of Power. What I mean, Lord of the Rings. This would be an incredible get for this park. This would get theme park freaks from all over the shop coming over. People who call the Florida parks home, the California parks home. They would probably want to come over and see this, because it's been rumored for so long.
This indoor bit underneath the roller coaster.
That's on the Minions land, right?
Yeah, but I mean that could almost be some sort of medieval times jousting area. So.
Well, I think in Beijing, the roller coaster that appears to be in this concept art in the Minions land there is actually indoors.
Okay.
And the coaster is kind of represented on top of the building just as a bit of decor.
Oh,
so that could literally be what that is.
Right.
But just going back to Lord of the Rings, so I know you're a big Minions freak.
Yes.
So you're drawn to it naturally. But what kind of rides we talking about here, do you think? I mean, the possibilities are endless. Do Do you do something in Bag End in the Shire? Do you do a Mines of Moria sort of dark ride? Do you do something that kind of flies through, the events of the trilogy? I mean, you could do all sorts of stuff, can you?
A soaring over Middle Earth.
Sorry. Yeah, on an eagle.
On an
Eagle's flight.
Eagle's flight. Yeah. And you can go over and like the dragon firework.
Yeah.
From Bag End comes at you.
Yeah.
And you could do over the Rohirrim.
Yes.
In the Pelennor Fields.
I feel like this would be quite a lazy way of doing it. Just watch the movies from above.
From above,
basically. Yeah. But I can't deny, as soon as the Howard Shore music kicks in, I'm probably weeping.
Yeah. I don't know. It's because I think it's actually a hard one to do. I don't know, like a roller coaster of. So I don't know.
I think it's got to be. You probably look to the Harry Potter rides that you've done.
Yeah, you do like
for inspiration.
Cougar Arm kind of
ride.
ride.
Cougar Arm, when you do like an indoor coaster.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Or
I think
like,
maybe Mines of Moria thing. Maybe
something like Spider-Man. That kind of ride potentially. Well, if you go, you want to spend an awful lot of money, you look at Rise of the Resistance and think, can we do something like that at all? I don't know. That I increasingly feel like Rise of the Resistance, you will never see another ride made like that ever again.
I think that's the interesting.
It's too expensive
because most of those have a gimmick, right? Like you can they're all films or franchises that have technology in them. So you can do like a car, or you can do a mine cart.
Yeah.
Or Harry Potter has the magic, so you can do the flying benches. I don't know what that is in.
There are no vehicles in Lord of the Rings.
It's horses and eagles.
Horses and carts, yeah, and eagles.
There's barely any carts
in terms of getting around. That's it. It's just a lot of walking.
Yeah, there's barely any carts in the films.
Yeah.
It's like Gandalf turns up on one, and then
that's about it, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Elephants. People go around on elephants.
On the Oliphants.
Yeah. The Nazgul.
Yeah.
You could fly around on a Nazgul, become a wraith.
Shelob. Wander around on Shelob.
The barge over to the Prancing Pony into Bree.
Oh yeah.
You get one of those.
That'd be quite fun.
I mean, I wouldn't want this because it's The Hobbit, but you could do a cool boat ride in the barrels.
Oh, the barrels. Yeah.
Of course, we won't get any boat rides because the government's promised to stop the boats. Anyway, that does it, I think, for the concept art, Josh. That we've kind of gone round it there. I don't know, but I don't feel the need to talk too much about Minions, to be honest.
No. Do you reckon they bring Halloween Horror Nights over?
Yeah.
They've got to, right?
I would have thought so.
And you got...
even Thorpe Park do that.
Thorpe Park does it. They all do it, actually.
Alton Towers does it. Does Legoland do it? Legoland just covers
Legoland does have a Halloween thing. I don't know if it does it over here, but
right,
it does in America. So, yeah.
Cool.
But I think...
Well, we'll just wrap up briefly with this, as of recording, this more recent BBC article where they spoke to Paige Thompson, who is the president of New Ventures at Universal Destinations and Experiences.
What's a great name.
She says that they're thinking about this as a 100-year project. Very optimistic, Paige. I guess you'll have to rebuild it after the war, so thinking 100 years, it's probably not the worst thing.
Is Universal 100 years old? I'll probably just.
Couldn't tell you. Yeah, well... Yeah, when did all those original monster movies come out? Weren't they back in the 30s or something?
Yeah.
So you're getting on, aren't you?
Yeah.
This must be older than that. But yeah, I mean, they're looking at 8.5 million visitors in the first year. They're expecting 30% of the visitors to come from outside of the UK. So they're expecting to see a lot of demand for it.
MCA, which became into Universal, is 101 years old, but that started as a music company. So
yeah, and they're saying lots of jobs for locals, British jobs for British theme parks. Josh,
Universal Pictures is 112 years ago.
Right.
So there you go. Yeah.
There we are. So in terms of what's next, they're saying planning documents will be submitted to the government in the next couple of months. You'd have to imagine, unless they make an absolute pig's ear of the planning application, that this is a slam dunk. And if you've got the Prime Minister turning up at your big announcement thing and then you don't get it approved, what's going on?
I assume they've already pre-looked for jumping spiders.
Yeah, you would hope so.
Yeah.
You would hope so. The rare spiders that were a thorn in the side of the London resort,
yeah.
Hopefully they've checked and double-checked, triple-checked, Looked under all the no spiders, just clinging onto the bottom of the rocks as they look for them.
It's just one big one.
Yeah, it could be a problem.
16 feet tall.
Hopefully, they'll just whack it in the Lord of the Rings ride. Call it Shelob.
Yeah, done.
Yeah. They're being very coy though about what's going to be in it. They're just saying, we enjoy the speculation. It's a big part of the fun. I mean, keeping track of Epic Universe over the years was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and that's now finally here. Going through that process for a park that's actually being built here is going to be really exciting. So I can't wait to find out more, and I can't wait, hopefully, for it to actually become a reality.
Hopefully, this one actually becomes a reality, rather unlike the last one in the country.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Brutal. But I haven't called it the Bedford Resort.
It's fine. Yeah,
so
we're all good.
Hopefully that's a good sign.
Yeah.
And we'll all be good. What do you think they'll call it, just finally? Is it Universal Studios Great Britain, Universal Studios UK?
Universal Studios Great Britain, probably.
I guess because if you go with
probably just Britain.
If you go with Universal Studios UK, then your abbreviation for that is You Suck.
You Suck.
Which is maybe not what you want.
Yeah. USGB.
USGB. Yeah. That makes it sound like a trade deal.
Yeah, that's the new trade deal we got. Yeah.
We'll see. I guess
maybe it comes up. Well,
maybe they come up with something else.
Yeah, they started branching out, right? Epic Universe, Islands of Adventure. So maybe we do get something else.
Although the first park in a new place, it tends to be Universal Studios. Insert name of place here.
Yeah, but then they've started maybe Universal Studios, Islands of Britishness.
I mean, with all due respect, it's not going to be Universal Studios Bedford. They're more likely to call it Universal Studios London.
Maybe they do that.
Maybe they do that.
Yeah, it's only like 45 minutes by train.
Yeah,
so it's not. It's almost London. It's more London than it's as London as Luton.
Yeah,
which is London Luton is the name of the airport.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, look forward to finding out more about it over the coming years, and hopefully it does indeed come to fruition, and we'll be there day one.
We actually will
for opening.
I will.
Yeah, I'll get an annual pass for this place if they do them.
I'll do a vlog.
Yeah, you'll do a vlog. Well, there you go.
Yeah, committed to it now.
What a promise! And the Park Rush podcast will return maybe at some point. No commitment here.
We're very laissez-faire.
Yeah, indeed. But thank you very much for joining us, whether on the podcast feed or on YouTube or wherever else you might have found us. It's been fun to do this.
Yeah.
But it's one and done for now. So don't bother subscribing. See you later.
See ya.